Hey everyone, it's Dabacab here. I wanted to talk about the upcoming changes to Genji that are currently live in the PTR but haven't hit the core game yet for a couple reasons. First of all the buffs and nerfs, these are by far the most significant, so they will be the most obvious impact on the game. Secondly, I actually play Genji more than anyone else, so I have a pretty good sense of his game mechanics, and I feel like my insight might be useful to some viewers out there. So first, let me just say that the changes that Blizzard made to Genji are more than just a balance nerf. They are a change to the game that makes it better in terms of cohesion and being more intuitive. What do I mean by that? Well, it's going to be a little bit complicated to explain, but bear with me. So if I were to ask you to list all the best qualities of a game, you'd probably say things like good graphics, good sound, gameplay's fun, things like that. One thing that a lot of players miss is the quality of having intuitive mechanics, intuitive and coherent mechanics. And what I mean by that is an intuitive mechanic is a mechanic in the game that works the way that you, the player, expect it to. And the reason why players typically don't think about this is because good intuitive design is totally invisible. A good example is when you press space, you jump. When you press the left mouse button, you shoot. Those are things that we, the player, expect the game to do. So we really don't notice that a game is failing in that until they mess up, right? You're not going to think, oh, it's good design that they put space, that space makes you jump, because we expect it so much that it's just part of the game. So a good intuitively designed game is invisible in terms of that quality. You don't really see it. Now, Genji's double jump and the fact that his dash doesn't activate the Venom Mine for Widowmaker and Junkrat's Steel Trap is not intuitive. Because the game sets up a couple of rules that you discover very easily, and then it violates its own rules. So, for example, the Genji double jump, here's the rule. When you jump, you can jump again, and then you can't do another jump until your feet touch the ground. The way wall climb works is you can climb walls, but you can't climb again until your feet touch the ground. So by that logic, if you double jump and then wall climb, both of those rules state you shouldn't be able to do anything else until your feet touch the ground, but you can still wall jump. So for some reason, some special thing about wall climbing violates the rule setup in rule number 1 that you can't double jump again until your feet touch the ground. So that doesn't make sense. In fact, as a longtime Genji player, I didn't even know that was possible until I was watching a pro streamer do that move. Like, he double jumped, climbed a wall, and then jumped again. And I didn't even know that was possible because I didn't discover it on my own, because it's not what the game doesn't really encourage you to discover that, because it doesn't work the way you would expect it to. The same thing with the mines, with the fact that the dash doesn't activate the mines. It's good in general to have a game that follows physics. I mean, there are exceptions to the rules, obviously. Like, for example, in Overwatch, if you get launched into the air, you can still control the direction of the way that you're falling. That's not true to physics, but it's a fine change to make because it makes the game more controllable, or rather, it gives players more control over the characters, and it's fun to sort of direct yourself in the air. But if Genji is physically moving through something, then logically any ability that triggers when something is close to it should trigger when Genji goes through it. So the game establishes the rule of whenever a player gets close to an ability that affects players based on proximity, that ability will affect them. But Genji's dash violates that rule. And that's very unintuitive. It doesn't follow physics. It doesn't follow the game's own rules. Like, okay, so let's consider this current situation. Let's take Mei's Ice Wall. So Mei's Ice Wall is an ability that blocks players' movement, right? Genji dashes, he doesn't dash through the wall. Venom Mine and Steel Trap are both abilities that are triggered by player proximity, but they don't affect Genji. So let's suppose that Blizzard releases a new character who puts out a shield that does the opposite of what Reinhardt's shield does, right? Reinhardt's shield blocks projectiles, but it doesn't block heroes. Imagine this new ability blocks heroes, but it doesn't block projectiles. So you're sort of left to guess. If Genji dashes through that shield, will the shield work the way Mei's Ice Wall works, and will it block Genji's movement? Or will it work the way that Venom Mine and Steel Trap work, and it doesn't block his movement? And that's confusing and really unintuitive design. It's incoherent. It doesn't follow its own rules. So overall, the change to double jump and the change to the way that Genji dashes through the Venomite and Steel Trap are both good changes to the game. If Genji were the weakest character in the game and everyone were saying, oh my god, Blizzard, Genji is garbage, he's a hot pile of trash, please buff him somehow, and then Blizzard responded by saying, oh, by the way, we're going to nerf double jump and nerf his dash, I would actually say, good job, Blizzard. These are good changes. They make the game more intuitive, they make the game more coherent, and these are the qualities of a good game. Now that you've made Genji more coherent with the rest of the game, you can make buffs somewhere else, like give him more health or make him faster or whatever, so that he's more powerful and more in line with everyone else. So you need to keep in mind that when Blizzard makes changes to Overwatch, even if a change affects the balance of a character, there's probably more to it than just balance, right? Because they have to factor in things like, timing, and if new players can pick up the game and if it makes sense. If an ability is coherent against all other abilities in the game, because you expect the game to set up rules and follow its own rules. So I applaud Blizzard for these two changes. They are sort of unfortunate in the sense that I like Genji and these are going to make him not as strong, but I still think they're great changes. So secondly, Genji's ultimate is being dropped from 8 seconds to 6 seconds, and I totally understand why they did this. So if you compare Genji's ult to like other team killing assault class ults like the Reaper ult or the Pharah ult or the Tracer bomb, all of these ults that I'm listing, including Genji's ult, are capable of completely wiping the enemy team and getting like 6-player kill. Yes, that's true, but Genji's ult is basically the only one of those that can really reliably kill people who are not grouped together. Reaper's ult especially, Tracer's ult, they really rely on people being closely bunched together. Pharah's not so much, but still Pharah mostly relies on people being together. The way Genji's ult works is you can just slash kill someone, then dash someplace else and kill them, then dash someplace else and kill them, and then dash someplace else and kill them. So what ends up happening is the other assault classes sort of punish players for bad positioning and getting close together, whereas Genji's ult punishes players kind of like no matter what, because you just can't escape it. Genji's bound to kill at least one person, which means he's got his dash reset, which means he can chase after you. So there's just no escaping it. And dropping the duration will force Genji to be a little bit more selective with his, with how he operates. I mean, if like Zarya ults the whole team, then Genji will still be able to get a 6-man kill just as easily as a Reaper or a Tracer or a Pharah could, right? That's still totally fine. You can kill 6 people who are all in one spot in 6 seconds. But now, if Genji ults and they all scatter in different directions, Genji will have to be a little bit more selective in who he pursues. He won't just be able to be like, okay, no problem, I'll just ult and kill everyone because I'll just dash all over the place and it won't matter. So dropping the duration makes sense. It goes from a reliable like 4 to 5-man kill to like a reliable 2 to 3-man kill, which is more in line with how the other assault ults operate. So I think these are good changes. Now, it's possible that altogether these changes will be too much and that Genji will be not really a viable character. My guess is that what's going to happen is that because Genji is arguably the highest skill cap character in the game, and these changes are so significant, that he is not going to be very popular. He's just so hard to play that with these nerfs, I think he's going to be just not a very popular pick. And I think that other assaults, especially Tracer, are going to replace him, though we'll have to see. So let me know what you think of my commentary here. I have 2 questions for you. First of all, do you agree with me that regardless of balance, just ignoring how strong or how weak Genji are, do you agree that changing double jump and changing the way his dash works are actually good for the game because they make the game more intuitive and coherent? My second question is, do you think Genji will be viable in quick play and competitive, or is he going to be replaced by other assaults like Pharah and Reaper, and especially Tracer? Because Tracer and Genji are currently the only high-speed, high-mobility flankers in the game at the moment. Kind of Pharah, but not really in the same way. Okay, so let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Dabacab out.